Hello and welcome back to Emotionally Speaking. I'm Carla McLaren. I have a really good question this time from Catherine, who put this question on Facebook. How can an advanced adult student act respectfully with integrity on the feeling that it is time to move on from working with a longtime mentor teacher? This is interesting because there's so many emotions happening here. One, setting a boundary, which is healthy anger. So understanding that, there's a place where this ends. Two, letting something go that isn't working anymore, even though it once did. That is sadness, healthy sadness. Three, being a part of the ending of something. That is healthy grief, right? There's a death, there's a big transition coming. Also, wanting to do it with integrity. That is shame. Healthy shame is making sure that nothing that you do is offending against the boundaries or the selves of others. So this is a very delicate situation of working with a lot of emotions that most people hate, and they are wrong too, because these are brilliant emotions. Anger, shame, sadness, and grief. So how do you make this transition? If a mentor teacher is, I don't want to say healthy, but sort of knows that this is a possibility, this mentor and teacher will make it a part of the training, will make it a part of the relationship. That, for instance, that in some cases teachers will say, all right, now you're my colleague. Once you've gone through a certain period of time with that teacher, you'll become a colleague. So there won't be this place where you have to fight for your autonomy, right? It will be set into the relationship. For some teachers, they don't know that yet. They don't know how to do that yet. So for them, it's sort of like you would always be in this one-down student position. So when Catherine's asking, how do I do this with integrity, it sounds to me as if there isn't a mechanism already in place for her to become welcomed onto the level of colleague. And that is something that could be difficult. So how does someone, now this is just me supposing that this is true. So we think of, how would you come up to someone who has been in a teacher position and you've been in the student position? How do you let that go in such a way that the teacher won't feel abandoned or as if his or her work has been unappreciated? And I think it would take a bit of work with coming to the person with sadness, being very, not crying in front of them, but just knowing that it's time to move on. But doing an honoring and a witnessing of the person, that what you taught me has been brilliant and wonderful. I've seen that it has helped me to grow and move forward. And now I would like to bow to you and thank you for this whole situation, this whole relationship, and then move on. And then I might ask, do you have any practices? Do you have any rituals for this process? Right? And then it sort of puts it into the lap of the teacher to see how he or she would want to uncouple and end this relationship in its current state, right? And I would say it would need to be gentle, because whenever, you have to understand sociologically, when you are in a one-down position and there is a person above you, you can't just go, hey, this is what's true, because that's not what's true. That's not what's going on. So being able to stand up as yourself in a situation where you have been a student, an acolyte, a learner, that there is it's a kind of a delicate dance. And Catherine's question about doing this with integrity and with respect and with honoring, I think is lovely. So my suggestion, emotionally speaking, is to understand the positions. Understand that the teacher has some boundaries around being this sort of higher person, the person who knows more, and that may in fact be true. but how would you want to hear that if it were you? You may not get it right because you're a different person, but generally with gentleness and kindness and letting the person have their autonomy and dignity during the process and asking them, how would this best be achieved? I think that might help with Catherine's sense of boundaries, respect, honor, integrity, and kindness. And if it didn't work out, it wouldn't be because Catherine did it wrong. It would be just because the teacher or mentor had more charge in it than maybe it was healthy. So thank you, Catherine, for that question. I think it's good for a lot of situations, like how does a person growing up become equal with their parent? You know, how does a person graduating become equal with their professor? How do these transitions happen? And I think talking about it and being gentle with the person who was once in a position of power is like one of the best ways to do it, because then they get to have choices rather than being the one who's making the rules. They get to have choices, and it can help them grow and evolve as people as well. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week for another Emotionally Speaking. Bye-bye.